Welcome back to today's Explainer, where we're going to decode the hidden linguistic architecture that is literally all around us. We are exploring how modern regional authors use local dialects and code switching, not just as, casual street talk, but as highly sophisticated intentional literary tools designed for deep emotional immersion. It's a fascinating look at the structures underlying the words we use every single day, featuring some incredible theories from minds like Baba, Rushdie, Diaz, Morrison, and Said. So let's jump right in.
Here is our roadmap for today. We've got 1. Emotional immersion and intentions. 2. Everyday code switching gamified. 3. The Salita exploration. 4. The City Coda Theorist panel. 5. The Code Switching Matrix workshop. And we'll wrap up with 6. Our Code Breaker interactive review.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Emotional Immersion and Intentions. So what are we actually trying to master today? Think of our core intentions as a head, heart, and hand approach. Cognitively, the head, we want to really unpack the psychological pull of code switching. Affectively, the heart, we're learning to appreciate the incredible craftsmanship involved in preserving identity through language. And practically, the hand, you'll physically construct a code switching matrix right in your Talarawan logs. Moving right along to Section 2, Everyday Code Switching Gamified. Now, this perfectly highlights what you all noticed in your homework. When we pass the soft token in our Chika Chika relay, these exact phrases like G, mama ya, lads, kung kerimo, and pakibay naman ng ulam, they show how effortlessly we blend English and Tagalog. I mean, we are highly relational, expressive people, right? And our everyday social communication absolutely reflects that dynamic hybridization. But I want you to ask yourself this probing psychological question. What actually drives us to instantly shift our linguistic register the second we speak to a friend versus when we're writing an essay for a teacher? Think about the comfort level, the shared context, and all that subtle social signaling happening in that split-second switch. If we play a quick game of language shift bingo and evaluate rigid formal English, pure formal Tagalog, and modern code switching, you're almost certainly going to find that the localized code switching sparks the most immediate psychological familiarity. It's the one that just feels like home. That brings us to Section 3, the Salita exploration. When we really analyze our text, we can split it into two distinct zones. On one side, we have the formal transcript zone, which is all about rigid grammar and strict dictionary definitions. But on the other side is the affective impact zone. This is where authors deliberately deploy local dialects to control the pacing, match modern digital realities, and create intense emotional resonance. It's a calculated literary tool, not just some casual stylistic choice. Let's dive into the heavy hitters in Section 4, the City Coda Theorist panel. First up, we have Homie K. Baba. He brings us this incredible concept, teaching us that mixing languages isn't some loss of purity. Actually, it's the active, powerful creation of a third space. In this intersection, fixed identities are completely subverted, and cultural identity is actively negotiated. It's literally where the discriminated turn their gaze right back upon traditional centers of power. Next up is Salman Rushdie, who completely flips an old cliché on its head. He argues that linguistic fusion allows translated individuals, like migrants and regional residents, to completely unmake and remake reality. So, through this process of translation, immense cultural power is actually gained rather than lost. Then there's Junot Diaz. Have you ever noticed how Diaz almost never gives you a glossary for his Caribbean-inflected vernacular? That is 100% deliberate. He forces you, the reader, to step directly into his vibrant, in-between linguistic world. By using rapid switches from street slang to high academic prose, he's enacting the complex, hybrid experience of immigrant life right there on the page. Toni Morrison hits us with another absolutely crucial perspective. She views contemporary code switching and dialect as a witness. For her, writing from within a community's authentic, true voice is a vital way to preserve the historical memory that formal textbooks so often erase. It's a powerful, active rejection of the distorted definitions imposed by outside observers. Finally, Edward W. Said rounds out our panel perfectly. He reminds us that linguistic variations are essential tools used to break apart binary stereotypes, like that completely artificial divide between a supposedly irrational Orient and a superior Occident. His critique proves that representation is power, and that the language of the province is just as intellectual and just as valuable as the language of the city. All right, time to get hands-on with Section 5, Code Switching Matrix Workshop. For this workshop, I want you to go to your Taglish logs and use this exact matrix blueprint you see here. You're going to isolate and extract two prominent code-switched phrases from our selected texts. Next, give me a precise linguistic breakdown of how those dialects blend. And finally, write a critical analysis explaining exactly how those structural shifts heightened your personal emotional connection or immersion as a reader. Pro tip, I highly recommend using colored ink to visually map out those structural shifts.
Let's wrap things up with Section 6, Codebreaker Interactive Review. Time for a rapid-fire review to see what's stuck. In this first batch, we're recalling the psychological foundations of our activities, right alongside those core theories we just broke down. Think about Baba's intersectional space, Rushdie's empowerment through translation, and Morrison's preservation of the authentic voice. Keep these concepts locked in your mind. When thinking about Baba's third space, remember how fixed identities are subverted and redefined through hybridization. And for the solid game, recall that the affective impact zone is all about deliberately controlling the reader's pacing and generating profound emotional resonance. Moving smoothly into batch number 2, evaluate your understanding of how Sai challenges those artificial binaries. I want you to think critically about how your own conversational identity interacts with the text, why local dialects are treated as legitimate artistic assets, and the unique functions of Diaz's specific vernacular. Remember, we are distinguishing between two totally different literary approaches here. The goal of using modern vernacular isn't to just copy ancient, rigid historical traditions word for word. No, it's to authentically enact the complex, hybrid experience of life as it is actually lived and spoken today. Okay, our final batch. This challenges you to define the mechanical purpose of your Talaroma matrix, the nuances of cultural translation, and post-colonial concepts like the right to narrate. And crucially, sync back to why authors deliberately omit glossaries to force your direct immersion into their worlds. I'm going to leave you with this final 4-minute lightning challenge to write directly in your logs, based on absolutely everything we've uncovered today from our theorist panel and our own structural analysis. Why exactly should the street variations you speak every single day be treated not as inferior slang, but as highly legitimate, sophisticated assets for high art? Dig deep into that question, find a contemporary textual to review, and I will see you in the next explainer.